That is right. It is your one and only Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty, here with you today in better pixelation. We have updated, we have upgraded, and we are back, baby, in full form. We are so excited to be here. Thank you very much for watching. As I've said, I'm your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty. Welcome to the match of the week. And I want to give, before we even get started here, a really, really special shout out to A Bizzle, also known as my best friend, also known as my partner in crime in the music game. A Bizzle is the one who put all of this together. Thank you so much, my man, for getting all this going and getting this and doing actual brain surgery on this thing. It is truly a blessing to have a man of your talents in the repertoire and in the fold. And so thank you very much for that. And so we are back, and we have got a match of the week for you here today. It is Pat Patterson versus Ted DiBiase. And as usual, I have forgotten to get the link ready. So let's see if I can get this title match going on right here. Let me do this. We're going to have an unnecessary advertisement, which is not what I wanted because I want to get rid of this. Got rid of that. Now we pop back over to here. Put this over there. Pop that in there. And there you go. So if you're following the live chat, we now have the link to the match in the description. And that is ready to go. We are watching today, for those of you who have not already seen the title, we're watching an interesting matchup, a follow-through, if you will, a follow-through on what we were talking about on the Court Martial podcast this past week, which was a live stream. If you haven't caught up to that, by all means, please take a look back while you were liking, sharing, subscribing, and drop kicking at bell button or doing whichever wrestling move you so choose. It could be a punch. It could be a 450 splash. Whatever kind of wrestling you like, you do that move out of that bell button so you are kept up to date every time we got something going on here at the Court Martial podcast, because we're always doing something new. We're always doing something interesting. And today we are going to watch Pat Patterson, Ted DiBiase. And because Pat Patterson just passed away, we did the Superstar Spotlight on Pat, as we felt obligated to, just because of the way that he's his passing and his legacy on the wrestling business, good and bad. And now we're going to see him in the ring, which Skylar and I both admitted that is one thing that we had not been able to do yet. So we are going to check out what he's doing in the ring against a very interesting opponent, a man who I did not realize was wrestling in 1979, Ted DiBiase, for the North American Heavyweight Championship, a WWF match taped in Allentown, Pennsylvania, 1979. I don't know how long Ted must have been wrestling up to this point, but it must be a fair amount, because unless they were putting the belt on him and he was still green, that would be a little surprising to me. And I'm not sure when Ted started, and I'm going to look that up for you guys right here. And while I'm doing that, I will let you guys know that this coming up week on Friday, which is a proper episode this time of the Court Martial podcast, and not a live stream, is going to be Skylar's episode. So Skylar, who is applying for co-host, so this is going to be his co-hosting application, as he is going to steer the ship, and he is going to run the episode of the Court Martial podcast, which means he's going to bring us in. He's going to do the intros. He's going to do the goodbyes. He's going to be the one introducing the topics, and I am going to be the so-called in the back seat with the headset on, just to see what's going on. And I will also be having my opinions as well, because that never changes. So, but that is going to be, and from what Sky tells me, it's going to be a very interesting matchup of topics, because we're going to talk about wrestlers past their prime. We've got a great person in past their prime, and at what point do people stop? And we've touched on that a little bit before, but now we're going to get it from Skylar's point of view. But of course, that is just the tip of the iceberg, and I'm not going to spoil it because that's all I've been told. But Sky could take it in any direction he wants, so stay tuned for Skylar's episode of Skylar's co-host application episode of the Court Martial podcast. It is going to be a great time this week. We will see how he does. Ted DiBiase Sr. Blah, 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 blah. I want to know when he started wrestling. I'm going to go to the old staple of the internet. And I'm going to let you decide and think what that is. I'm not donating $265. When did he start wrestling? 1974. So he was already 5 years into the business by this point, which is really still not that much. But at that same token, it is good to see him here. And of course, this is more of a showcase of what Pat can do, because Pat, I believe, is the heel in this situation, and Ted is the babyface. But we'll learn that almost immediately here. This is a 12-minute match. This match is, of course, if you are not able to click the link in the description, the name of this matchup is Full Match Pat Patterson versus Ted DiBiase, North American Heavyweight Title Match, June 19th, 1979, from WWE's YouTube channel. I believe they released this in 2012. So this is an oldie. This is a real oldie, but we are going to test this out right here. Let's see some old school WWF. That's what I like to see. I love the old school. So here we go. We're going to start at 000. I don't know if we're going to get any ads. We might, but let's just take this as it is. So if everybody's queued up, we're going to start here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Now, I do not remember the name of this guy doing the ring announcing, but he was in All-Star Wrestling. There's the Grand Wizard. Oh, I see. The Grand Wizard is managing Patterson. Okay. Ted DiBiase, who is the current champion. Wow, he looks so young. So used to Ted having more definition in the face. But, it's interesting because in 1981, I think it is, and Ted turns around and makes the mistake of turning away from his opponent, which was really stupid of him, honestly. That was definitely a rookie move. And Pat taking straight advantage of it. And just the vicious stuff. Now, wow, Pat being ruthless right in the corner. Referee trying to pull him off, and Pat just being merciless. Pat being aggressive. Pat threatening the referee. But he knows he can't hit the referee. But he's going back. Oh, and now Ted with a punch. Ted coming back up. Oh, what a right hand. Ted's got so little muscle tone that taking off the jacket didn't really do. It didn't have the effect, I think, that they were hoping for. Oh, but what a bump into the turnbuckle. Ted took off the jacket, but he does not have the muscle tone that he would come to later develop. I need a cover. Early Vince McMahon commentary. Knew as little about moves then as he does now. Well, as he did in the second run, I suppose. Worth noting that Patterson went through the ropes, not over the top rope. Very simplistic ring setup. Of course, this is Vincent J. McMahon territory days. And this is in Allentown, Pennsylvania, mind you. By the way, this is my jersey. You probably can't see the name, but it's a My high school jersey. For those of you who are wondering what this represented, this is actually mine. Oh, I wonder who's on commentary for this. It's not Rocca. Early All-Star Wrestling WWF Antonino Rocca was there, and Rocca was not that great of a commentator. It was kind of hard to understand him because he definitely had a pretty heavy accent. Now Ted with a nice armbar here. It's a shame they don't do this anymore. I'm looking for my water bottle. That's why I looked all shifty-eyed everywhere. Now Ted just wrenching. Wow. Just wrenching and wrenching and wrenching. Fans are enjoying the wrenched arm of Ted DiBiase. Of course, Ted wouldn't stay in WWF, not at the time. Oh, that was such a low leapfrog and a drop. That drop kick was pretty low too. That was a nice arm drag though. So far, this is all Ted. Well done though. Now the fans are actually getting into Ted kneeing the arm that many times. Everyone's loving that. And Ted working on this arm for so long, and the fans are so into it. You know what I miss about wrestling? I miss the downtime. I miss this time where nothing's really happening and they're just wrenching the eye. It's just wrenching and Pat selling, and he's just wrenching and Pat selling. And it's not a whole lot, but it's just like it's time to slow things down and let things develop. And also, it's not all about like being so hypercritical of the match. It's kind of nice to have these moments where you're just sitting and relaxing. Almost like at a baseball game when somebody's coming up and so like in between plays of a football game. It's nice to have those little down moments before you have the high moments here, like the other arm drag. Because that means more now because you took the time to really set it up so when something big happened, it meant more. I'm going to find my water here. Oh, it's right behind. Good. I don't even need to leave frame. Good. It's important to hydrate, ladies and gentlemen. Please drink your water. And now, like a key lock almost, turned back into an arm bar, arm wrench, if you will. I think one failing of pro wrestling is that it got way too technical. It got way too. The moves became way too important, in fans' eyes, and I think the fan and then the wrestlers kind of overcompensated for it, and it's airtight technicality, and I think ultimately ended up being wrestling's undoing, because with matches getting so technical, all of the actual theatrics or sleights of hand and all the actual pieces of work don't get through, because they're not as important, they're not as utilized, or they're not as, there's no fever pitch to it. Everything's just so fast and high octane, and you don't get. See, that was a heel move. Pat slamming Ted's head on the table, and now the referee giving him the business. That got dangerously close to Ted hitting his head on the belt, but I don't think he did. Oh, and that's right there. That's where Vince is sitting, I think. And now Ted getting Pat outside, and now they're fighting outside, and now Pat's getting his head on the table. Now Ted not doing bad as a baby face. He's getting some people into it. He's not getting everybody into it, though. Oh, I love Pat's overselling is nice, because it's not too. Slam, ref bump, and went for a headlock. Pat ran Ted into ref, long-haired ref, shaggy-haired ref, and now Grand Wizard's going to hand the brass knucks, I'm assuming. Oh, no, he already had him. It's time for the brass knucks. Here come the knucks. Pop. Pop goes the weasel. Down goes Ted. Knucks back in the tights. 1, 2, and it's over. That's all it takes. And you know what's great about that? Is it's so heelish, and Pat barely did anything in that match. He just did his few heel pieces, and that was enough, because it displayed the fact that Pat couldn't beat Ted. Ted clearly had the advantage, so Pat had to cheat. Otherwise, he would not have won the belt, and now people are pissed because Pat clearly cheated. And now now they're hot. And now people are standing up, and look at the trash being thrown. Yeah. The belt's okay looking. And Pat looking like, yeah. Pat doing great. Grand Wizard being so smarmy. I love that. But you look at that front row, there were people standing up. They were pissed. They were hot that just happened. Of course, Ted sounded like he doesn't know where he is. He's on cloud 9. And people are hot. People are pissed, and you can see it. A lot of people in the arena, they're all talking about it like, no, he clearly cheated, right? Yeah, no, you saw that. Fuck that guy. In a controversial fashion, so to speak. Well, okay. So we actually got the whole of that done. Amazingly, we got the whole of that match done. So thankfully, we could say with actual confidence now that we've seen a Pat Patterson match. Honestly, that was fun. That was fun. It's amazing to see Ted that young, and I think that a lot of his personality comes through later. He definitely was. You can definitely tell he was younger. Because he's kind of got that he reminds me a little bit, at least in this iteration, of what I recall seeing in early Lanny Poffo in Mid-South. Where Lanny, when it was Leapin' Lanny and he was doing minus the cartwheels, but a lot of the big excitement and the rally and Lanny would do a lot of the shucking and the jiving, but a lot of that same rally and rip the jacket off and the punches and the look out to the crowds. And there's some similarities between the two. I mean, maybe it's just in the way that people were brought to act as a babyface, and they're doing a great job at it. I mean, Ted, I think, had a little more success than Lanny, but that's not necessarily Lanny's fault. It's just it is the way it is. Sometimes the people act the way the people act. But in any case, that is going to wrap it up for this match of the week. All in all, Pat, that was very fun to see. I think I still need to see more of Pat Patterson, so I'll have to do some private research and see what more I can dig up about Pat the wrestler. But in any case, now, that is going to do it for our match of the week. Stay tuned for Friday's regularly scheduled and regularly presented edition of the Court Martial Podcast, Skylar's episode. It's going to be a very exciting episode. I can't wait. You should get excited as well. And then next week is, of course, ACPW versus NWL, so stay tuned for that too. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you on Friday. Take care, everybody. See you then.